we talking about before we cut out the prayer?
Samuel.
Oh yeah. No, Samuel's a G, bro. Like I love the way he comes at scripture, and if you watch, did you watch the video or did you listen?
I listened because I was like doing
Oh,
more
okay.
shelf liners, right?
Yeah.
I brought a little setup up there.
You're gonna be a shelf lining expert by this, so if anybody needs some shelf lining,
Yeah.
um, if you watch the video, there's a lot where Alfredo and I were like, okay, I'm gonna have to dig into that, and then Samuel wraps it into like what it means in scripturally. I was like, oh, I get it.
Insult you and then educate you. It's like, oh, I am a student.
Yeah, I am. Oh. Okay, sensei.
Yeah, exactly.
Sensei no more.
Telling you, man.
The one thing I'm glad he brought up, because I had to do my own research into it, the woman is the neck. I'm wondering, I'm picturing like with a lot of guys that'd be, what?
Yeah.
No, he's right though.
Go into that a little bit.
He's right, because that's what I found also. You have to be the head of the household, but you know that saying, behind every strong man is a stronger woman.
Stronger woman, yeah.
It's true. I mean, think about it. Your neck supports your brain. You're basically one of the most important parts of your body.
Yeah.
And I like that you said that, because a lot of guys don't think that way. But you have to view your partner as your equal.
So the part where Samuel talks about the women being the sword,
that
was a piece that Fredo and I were both like,
Yeah,
I'm actually the sword. I don't know what you're talking about, Samuel, but
exactly.
in my household, I am the sword and the shield.
Man.
It's possible, but even as the sword, right, for like stay-at-home moms, they're dealing with all that.
Yeah.
Right? For the people that have the ability to do that, single moms, they're doing that. Single parents in general have to be both.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But it's, if you think back a couple decades ago, right, men would go to work, and then you would have this concept of homemakers.
Yep.
That's when you had home ec.
Yep.
The mom was technically the sword.
Yep. Doing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the dad was shielding the family, but not what we think of, but like shielding them in the sense of
From
providing
having to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love how when Samuel went into it more, he was like, she's the sword, but she directs you and then gives you the sword to go slay or take care of whatever you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian's like, I need to catch up on an episode or two.
Exactly. Man.
But it was a good one, man, because it makes you think, really makes you think. And Samuel's so artistic in the way he presents ideas, because it will come off controversial at first. So like it'll spike this emotional like, oh no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, and then you keep listening, you're like, oh
Yeah.
So it's a great reminder too. The more we listen versus the more we speak, that's when we really learn.
That's what I love about this, right? Like, just this platform, you have the ability to change the way someone thinks.
Dude.
Because if Samuel did that to us, imagine anyone else listening, right? They can completely change the way they think or view
100%.
a topic. It's amazing.
It really is. It's a blessing. Like you said, this platform, it's fun. We get to do these things, but then to look at the flip side and see like the actual effects of it. So, shout out, John. Hope you had a great surgery. We got a new guy that came into the men's group, John, and he was telling me. I consulted with their church a while back on some security stuff, just, stuff that we normally talk about. And one of the guys that was in that meeting, I guess, since that consultation or whatever, has been listening to the podcast. I didn't know.
Awesome.
And he told John he's been listening to our podcast.
Yeah.
And he goes, I listened to it in the car. I listened to it with my wife. I listened to
Man.
it at home. I was like, what? That's
Yeah.
crazy. To think about, like, and he really likes the content. It's really clicking with him. And so does his wife.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to share this with the guys.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, we do this and it's great for us and it's great for our brotherhood and our relationships and our camaraderie. But to really look at what it's doing for the kingdom and for the men that are listening and applying and like digging in.
Yep. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what greater glory is it to be used by God than to be used by God?
Exactly.
You know?
Man.
So we have a lot. This is a shoot from the hip conversation ish. Because like because last week we were talking about fools and foolishness. Fredo went off. I loved what he had to say, but then I know you both were out. You sent a text in our chat, which if you don't mind reading, and then I think we can really go off of that. That was a really good segue.
Yeah, absolutely. So the text that I sent, it was surrounding the pregnancy of Jesus' mother and father, right? Where in the area that they lived, of course, and as we all know, you end up having to have relations to be able to become pregnant. But Jesus' mother, of course, ended up having the Immaculate Conception. And in the town that they lived in, you can only imagine, especially even in modern day, where if someone's spouse becomes pregnant and the spouse is gone, what kind of feeling is surrounding that pregnancy? So, Mary gets pregnant, and now she's carrying this baby, and said, imagine the emotion that Joseph is feeling at this point. It's like, well, I haven't even had relations with my wife or with my fiance, and she's saying that she's pregnant. And, later that night, he had to have been having those thoughts of, well, I'm done with this. She's going to be raising this child, whoever it is, on her own. And an angel of the Lord came and said, hey, no, you need to stay the course. But the angel didn't just visit him. The angel visited her as well and said, hey, this is what happened. And then the conversation had taken place where, I have been touched by an angel. And, of course, Joseph saying, well, who is angel? And who touched you? But it was an angel of the Lord and not a man named Angel.
The neighbor angel's like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
it wasn't me.
But it said God had visited both Mary and Joseph and confirmed that it was a blessing and not bad actions on Joseph's wife's part. So in that, God expressed that they needed to stay the course and know that they had found favor in God's eyes. So that whole situation that could have been, mistaken for infidelity or, whatever other words might come to mind when it comes to a cheating spouse was actually, God showing favor on the two of them prior to even marital relations. So I asked, what emotions would be coming to, your mind if that was to happen to your loved one? And I don't know if I would be able to handle that with such grace. But at the same time, having the angel of the Lord come to you, you kind of got to accept it.
I feel like nowadays that would be like a Maury situation.
Oh, it definitely would.
Yeah.
I'll
definitely
see you
would.
in Jerry Springer.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. But, in that same, air, we know that Jesus is going to be the only Immaculate Conception that ever takes place, right? So I'm not going to say that it's foolish to go about believing, something that someone says like that, but it's pretty far fetched at this point, right? So I guess being able to have that discernment that needs to accompany that kind of wisdom/knowledge is imperative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the Bible, it goes on to talk about these kinds of things. The discerning heart seeks knowledge, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly.
What is folly?
So I don't want to say like a misunderstanding almost. So having the lack of knowledge and then just going off and spouting out whatever it is that comes to mind type deal. You know what I mean?
Ignorance?
Sure.
Maybe?
Sure.
Kind of like...
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. I like that word more. Yeah, we'll say this.
You folly fool.
Yeah, exactly. But
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There are times when like, do you guys suffer from like having anger issues?
Yes.
At times, yeah.
And the Bible talks about that as well. How the person that speaks out of anger is essentially acting in folly. So as opposed to,
That makes sense.
spouting off
That
whatever
makes
comes
sense.
to mind, out of anger and such, and potentially ruining your relationship, you take the time to actually, digest what's going on, and then you come back and you address the situation, and now you have a different outcome. For me, at times, I will say whatever comes to mind. It's like, all right, now you deal with that, and we can talk about this later.
Yeah.
Then I have to come back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
You fool.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's all coming from a place where before I didn't used to go about saying anything. I would just sit there with it, and then I would get angry, even more angry, and then by the time that I actually said something, it was 10 times worse. So let me just go ahead and get these thoughts out of my mind, and then we can deal with it later.
That's so interesting because, in the 33 series right now, we just covered, what is God calling manhood to be? What is manhood, right?
Yeah.
And a big piece of that is passivity. Passivity.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, there's times where I still do that, where I'm like, I should probably say something.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm like, I know I blow up, so I'll try to reserve what I'm gonna say, and I end up not saying anything, and it just kind of starts boiling inside.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how you guys, how do you handle that? Like, how do you find the balance between controlling your emotions, but at the same time not being passive?
Oof. Do you want to go first on that? You want me to go first?
Oh,
okay.
he's like, oh God.
I used to bury my anger, and that can only work for so long.
You're a better man than me.
But I'm like, don't talk to. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
But when I exploded, it all came out.
Let's see. Exactly.
Stuff that
Happened
like-
10 years ago. That person didn't even
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
So I think there's a difference between passivity and being reflective.
Ooh, okay, let's go.
So just because the approach I take, my wife played a huge part in this, is I'll step away from the situation. So I'll be passive in that moment, but it's not really being passive. It's me reflecting on how I feel, why I feel this way, and how to communicate that best. Because at times I have communication issues.
Yeah. Get it.
But then I take responsibility and I go back. I do my part. I come back and I say, this is why I'm upset.
Exactly.
This is what upset me. And I try
That's
to
good.
express how I really feel. Because I found that if I don't, in that moment, all you'll hear is anger.
Yeah.
And it's not really how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I may not be angry at the person. I may be angry at a situation.
Yeah.
I could be angry on something that set me off that I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Rough day or the littlest thing.
Yeah.
So,
Dude,
That's really good.
telling you, I'm super similar, but I can't walk away, right? Because I have like, I don't know if it's like an OCD with these kind of situations where it will not leave me alone.
Mm.
Like,
Like we got to solve this now
yeah,
type of thing.
exactly.
Mm.
You know, if something happens at the house, and you know I try to walk away, I'll sit there. I could be playing a video game or something like that, and then the dishes. Ugh. Yeah, and then you know they're like, just leave it alone for a little bit. It's like, nah, why didn't they do the dishes yet? It's like, yeah, we just got done eating, you know, and then, all right, hey, why aren't the dishes done yet? He's like, why didn't you do them? You gotta walk away for a second.
Very well.
You know, one of those type of deals, you know, but I do find myself being more angry at the situation, and I will say what comes to my mind, you know, in the initial. And then, you know, after I give it a little bit more thought, it's like, you know, I could have said that differently, but I said what I meant.
Mm.
You know, I don't ever fall into that trap of, you know, saying something that is going to potentially, you know, break apart everything that I have. You know, I might say the emotion that's on my mind, and then I might come back to better refine what it was that I said later. That way, it's better received.
Mm.
You know, but if I have to deal with these emotions, you're gonna have to deal with them too. Yeah, because you're not understanding why it is that I'm feeling like this, and I need you to.
Mm.
And you know, I might say something. It's like, you know, I really don't appreciate it when you do this, and then I walk away, and then it's like, okay, let me expound upon what I said earlier. You know, I don't mean that I don't appreciate you in the situation. I don't appreciate the fact that you're not understanding where my emotions are coming from. You know, and such. And I find that that ends up working for me, but my wife hates it. You know, just the fact that I'm going about spouting out everything. My wife is very much the opposite. She will sit there with her emotions for years, you know, not say a word. And I'm asking, like, talk to me. You know, what's going on? And I can see it on her face like something is bothering her. It's like, no. It's like, why do you do that? Well, I don't want to say something that's going to come across as, you know, being mean or otherwise. Dude, I don't care about being mean. You know, I want to hear what it is that you're thinking, or that way we can just work through them. But if you never take the time out to talk to me about it, then we're going to be in the same situation. I'm going to get more frustrated because you're not talking to me, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But we deal with those kind of situations, and it's tough. You know, how do you go about navigating those waters where the person that you love, you know, might be holding something back from you that, I don't know how to go about saying this different. Holding something back from you that maybe isn't life altering, but might change the perspective on a situation, right?
Just like a missing piece of the puzzle that
Exactly.
you're just not getting.
Exactly. You know, because for me, I like to have everything, you know, laid out in front of me.
Yep.
Like you're saying, if this is a puzzle and I have just that one corner piece that's missing, like, where is it?
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
I need your perspective on this. It's like, well, I got nothing to add to this conversation. It's, dang it. You know.
She got that missing puzzle piece in her back pocket.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
he'll get this back when he acts right.
Exactly.
She's like,
You know?
she has it in her hand. She's like, have fun with your puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what you're getting for your birthday.
Exactly. You know. And I find that that is like the most difficult piece about, you know, just having the conversation and such, you know. So just being able to be open for me is like one of the greatest things. So, you know, this podcast where we can come out and, you know, you don't have to feel like guilty or anything like that when you're going about conversing. And I know that other people end up dealing with the same exact things that we're talking about, maybe just differently, right?
Right. I mean, it's all, there's nothing new under the sun.
Exactly.
It's all just little variations off of each other.
Exactly.
You know, and then when you start to really look at the bigger picture, the zoomed out picture, you're like, it'll work out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
But I get it though. Like when you are, you know, when you're hot-headed, hot-blooded, you're just like, all you see is red.
Yeah.
And it was, for a long time, it was like that for me too, where it's like, when I got angry, I think I was probably some of my angriest when I was in law enforcement. Like there was just a lot of things that I didn't know how to process at such a young age, because I worked it was a busy city. We dealt with a lot of very violent, like dark
Yeah.
crimes
Yeah.
that you probably wouldn't see in the suburbs much.
Yeah.
Like here's a perspective. My buddy and I went to the academy at the same time. He was out here in Illinois and I was out in the suburbs. Or I'm sorry, he was out here in Illinois in the suburbs, and then I was like in the city in California. And after training, we linked up and we were sharing some war stories or whatever. And he was like, I took two murder cases in my training.
Nice.
I was like,
That's it.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I took two my first day.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, my first week at least. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, all
Yeah.
right, cool. So it was just a funny thing, man. Anyways, I didn't know how to process that darkness.
Yeah.
And I would feel myself kind of lashing out on Carlene.
Yeah.
When we would have these conversations, it would be all pent up.
Yep.
Just like what you said, like the dishes,
Yep.
right? Why aren't the dishes being done?
Exactly.
You know, I'm like, it was just like, it was so unnecessary.
Yep.
And, God bless her heart. I mean, like, dude, she put up with a lot,
Yeah.
with my craziness. So it's like, I'm more like Anna than I am you in that situation.
Yeah.
I need to step away
Mm-hmm.
and get the emotions out of the equation.
Yep.
Because I can't see the puzzle pieces at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know there's a puzzle going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so heated. I can't, it's hard for me to really hone in on, okay, let's get all the puzzle pieces together. I need to step away, like kind of calm myself down, and then I can gather the information.
Yeah.
Carlene is very much like you,
Yeah.
where she wants to talk now. Let's talk about this now. She's like, why aren't you talking to me?
Exactly.
And I'm like I have a million things going on in my head, and I just end up just not saying anything.
Yeah.
Right? So there's the challenge for me comes when I want to control my emotion, but at the same time, I think you said it best. You were responsible, right? The responsibility of, hey, you know what? I'll come back, and we'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was just I need to get away.
Exactly.
But there's no like we'll talk later.
Yeah.
I know I should,
Mhm.
but I don't have that like
Yeah.
that mindset. Like we're gonna talk about this later. It was just more like I need to get away.
Yeah. Let's see.
I wasn't always responsible though.
Mm.
Usually it had to be extracted out of me because I'd be like, oh, we'll talk about it later.
So would you say Ashley is the opposite? She wants to talk about it now.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, very
You guys
much
calling me
so.
feminine in my relationship right now with the.
What's that?
You guys are calling me feminine in my relationship.
No. You have a gift in that you can express how you feel.
You're just, you're just
not-
special.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it, as I'm wearing fingernail polish.
He's like,
I can't even.
I can't even right now, guys. We need a timeout. We need a timeout.
Oh man.
But look at that. We're talking about the same thing in three different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are watching and listening, they've got to be able to click with one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing that what we're able to do is like, are you the processor and you need to get away, or are you, hey, let's talk about this right now?
Yep.
You know, if anything, I feel like that's probably more the masculine thing.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this right now.
Exactly.
That's how I think of it. I think I'm probably the more like the feminine in this, where I would, hey, I need to process.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Tap out.
I think there's a cultural aspect to it
Yeah.
also. Because if you look at like Eastern Europe and stuff like that, like those people don't talk about feelings at all.
Dude. Oh, yeah, that's a big piece.
Right?
Yeah.
You see, like, I know Russian culture is a big one,
Oh, yeah.
where it's just like show no emotion,
Mhm.
right? And,
I'm happy.
yeah,
I'm sad.
and sometimes you can't tell, right? Because they
Exactly.
just don't show.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of their upbringing. But that's how I was. I'm like, nope, not talking
Man.
about it.
Really?
No.
Dude, I was the same. In all honesty, I only changed after I went to the military. Just because, you know, when you encounter a situation and you end up having to deal with it right there, after dealing with that so many times, like, all right, this is just who I am now. You know?
Mm.
Yeah, man.
It was also really hard to start talking about how you feel because not doing it for so long, you're like, I
Yeah.
feel stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially for me when I mean we're doing this. I'm doing a lot better now because Carlene's like, you got to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, especially now we got a kid. I'm like, yeah, I gotta like break out of my
Yeah.
thinking. You know, I gotta put some new structures in play. For me, when I talk about my feelings, I feel like I'm not gonna lie. I feel kind of weak when I do it.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah. It's vulnerable. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're exposing yourself.
yeah, like I'm like, and it's
Yeah.
not the freaky nice, sexy kind either.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
I don't like exposing myself like this. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I get it.
I used to feel really weak because my wife was so good at conveying exactly how she felt.
Yep.
Like I'd be like, okay, I can do this, right?
Yeah.
So, be a little disagreement. I'd
Yeah.
be like, yeah, well, you said, and she'd come with some knowledge and just like smack my whole logic down.
Exactly.
I'd be like, well, this was pointless.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
well, this is why I don't talk to you.
Exactly. But you know, I feel in those kind of situations where you know you encounter that kind of deal, it almost comes across as negative as well, right? Because like when you're trying to talk to your spouse, and then it seems like, well, you're just listening to be able to respond to what it was that I just said. You didn't hear what I said. I get that all the time. Like, dude.
She always made so much sense because I'm a very logic-driven person.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to make sense to me, right? There has to be an
Right.
explanation for
right,
it.
right, right.
I claim the same, but I don't know if I am or not.
No, I think I am too. But
Yeah.
Carly might be like,
Yeah, that was the most illogic thing.
Yeah, but in those times of argument, she'd be like, "Well, that doesn't make sense because
Yeah.
X, Y, Z," and I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
"Yeah, you're right."
Yeah,
she's like, why would the big dishes go right next to the small dishes?
Yeah.
exactly.
That's illogical. I'm like, oh, well then you do that.
What are you, an engineer?
Yeah, you're an engineer for dishes now. Okay.
Oh man, see, but I think that there is something in the patience that you guys are talking about. You know, when you're able to walk away from the situation, it's showing that the signs of patience. Being able to go and digest what it is that you're feeling. You might not ever talk about it, but of course there's some things that you need to talk about and other things that are like, all right, this is just the way that I'm feeling right now. Let me take some time, think about this, and then if I still feel the same way, a couple hours, a couple days, months, years, whatever. We'll talk about it.
It's my birthday again? What?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about it then, but maybe it's not the best time for me to go about talking about it right now.
Yeah, it's there's definitely moments, a lot of moments that I'll just share this. I don't know, probably not good of me to share, but whatever. I was one time we got into this really bad argument. I think I just came back from working like a 25-hour shift.
Those are the best.
Dude, it was rough, bro. It was like, I think my original shift was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
It lasted 18 hours, and then I came back. Like I got home, and then they called me back out because something popped off. So they need the more cops to come in.
Man.
So I think in total I did like 25, 26. I don't remember anymore. But I remember coming home that day. I was really tired, and then Carlene, I don't remember what she did, like, or what she said, but something just really ticked me off. And I remember I got so pissed. And this is me, like, not
Yeah.
processing my own stuff either.
You're tired at that point, too.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I
So it's not just emotions, it's physical exhaustion.
there's a
as well.
lot. There was
Yeah.
definitely a lot.
Mhm.
I got so, and we were obviously in California. I got so pissed, and I was like, you know what? I went in my room, grabbed my laptop. I bought her a plane ticket. Printed
Yeah.
it out, put it in an envelope, and I tossed it to her.
Damn.
How is that? That is, you know what I mean? As I'm embarrassed to say that, and I don't, and I share that. Like I get emotional thinking about it because I'm like, dude, knowing the type of woman Carlene is and how much love, how much light she has in her heart.
Mhm.
It just goes to show the patience that she had for a weak man like that.
Exactly.
At that point, man, bro, I bought her a plane ticket, and I was like, here, go home. Like, and it was a one-way ticket, too. I was that effed up in the head that I'm just like, here, take it.
So you got to give yourself a little bit of grace at the same time, though, man, because you had just got off of a 25-hour shift, right? And you were coming back, from probably a very stressful situation, and then encountering something that I was going to talk about this earlier, but we tend to go about spazzing out on those people that we have more control of the situation of than we do with the people
Ooh.
that we don't.
Yes.
Right. And so you were coming back from a situation where you lacked control because this thing had already happened. And now you're coming into the situation where you feel like you should be able to have control, but now, you're encountering something that's like out of your wheelhouse because you haven't been there. And this thing is happening. So, you know what? I need control back. And this is what I need. Go ahead, take this.
I'm so glad you said that because I actually said that. I believe that it was actually that argument. I just blew up, and I was like, I would much rather get shot and stabbed and chased. Like I could handle that, but I can't handle this. And I was like, bro,
It's legit. Yeah,
you know what
it's
I mean?
legit. Yep.
Like in that, I was comfortable in the chaos and the violence in that darkness, but I wasn't comfortable in my own marriage.
Yeah. It's legit. Those things happen all the time, man. In all honesty, and if I was to say you're not going to experience that ever again, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
I think that we have occurrences like at least semi-annually. I'll look at my watch and be like, it's almost time. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about sexy time.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the puzzle piece, woman?
Time to spice up this marriage a little bit. Nah, and
Rock
to
the
some,
boat, rock the boat, baby.
Some might call it toxic. Nah.
I call it healthy pruning.
Exactly.
Oh,
man.
God.
No, but give yourself grace. The important thing is that you realize it was wrong. But
See, but I don't know if it was him that realized it. It might have been Carlene too. Like after everything was all said and done,
Yeah.
because she didn't leave, right? She stuck around.
she knew.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
knew.
Exactly. So she was giving you grace in that situation as well.
Yeah.
But go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I guess the question is, how long until you realized, hey, it's wrong, or did you get some sleep and then you're fine after?
It was probably years when I look back at it. Like, I think that's why I get emotional when I think about it now, because I think there's definitely stuff in my past that I haven't fully
Like dealt with
dealt with.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think for dudes, it's easier to,
this.
you know what I'm
Put it
saying?
away.
Like,
Yeah.
put it in a box.
Yeah.
Like, and just like.
I'll only
my-
open that bad boy when
you
I
know,
need it.
that cookie jar is when I'm really hungry. I don't touch that cookie jar.
Exactly.
That's the one that has no expiration date.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Those cookies will put you through a doozy. I tell you what.
Trust me. That's
But
the Bruno we don't talk
That's
about.
exactly. Well, here's the thing too. Like, part of why I'm, it's just like I have a lot of these hidden things in my past that I just haven't dealt with. So I know by the grace of God, He's changed a lot of my characters since that person, that immature man, whatever, right? And it's really, as you guys have said, it's a reminder how graceful our wives are and can be. The things I've said and done, it's like, I don't know any other woman that would have stayed in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like to look at her now, so it's like, it took me years to see that and appreciate what she's put up with.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, dude,
I
I
would've been, man.
I
Yeah.
would have been out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I would take that plane ticket. Okay.
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Yeah, I'm going home then.
oh, okay. Don't touch my Xbox. I'll be back for it.
I'll send someone for my things.
Nah, man. But
You
with
know?
what you just said, I really want you to think about it, man, because that's kind of like the relationship that we end up having with God, right? Because, at times it's just so full of grace and mercy and such, and then the other times, ends up being, that extension of, okay, you want to play, stupid games, you'll win stupid
Super
prizes.
prizes. There you go.
Yeah, so you end up seeing both sides of it. And I think at times, you don't even take the time to really consider, like, God did this in this situation. And then, not comparing our actions with God's actions, of course, but they're very similar, right? You end up seeing, the reflection of God in everything that we end up doing. So take the time to actually think about those things as well. Like posts, it's like, ooh, that was ungodly. Yeah, but it always ends up coming back, man.
Thank you for sharing something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that. I don't think we've ever actually, her and I have actually talked about that.
You just did.
Today when I get home,
Yeah.
today when I get home, like, remember that time I got you that ticket?
But
We're
it'd
good
be
now,
a
right?
really healthy thing to talk about now that you have this perspective, because for all you know, right, she can't read your mind.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, she says that to me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's legit.
She
Legit.
says that all the time. I think dudes are so, because when we don't know how to process, I think we just kind of shut up.
Yeah.
It's either one or the other. We shut up or we explode,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like when we don't know how to process things properly, like
Yeah.
it's just those are the other two.
Yeah.
I'll explode or I'll just shut up and not say anything.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes I think I work well in extremes. I'm just kind of unpackaging this now. I work well in extremes. I don't do so well in the middle transition phases. Like there could be like a shooting or something violent going on, and I'll kind of come alive, and I'm like, I feel comfortable in
Exactly.
that.
Oh, this is easy.
But then you talk you have when Lana was first born and she was crying all the time, and I'm like,
What do I do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Carlene!
Carlene, okay, I'm
She's
sorry.
doing it again.
I'm sorry for the plane ticket thing. Can you just make her stop crying?
Yeah. Telling you, man. Let's see, but in those situations, man, I feel like, at least for me, in my situation, I find myself becoming more frustrated when I don't know how to go about, in air quotes, fixing a situation, right? Because in every situation that I have, 100% control of, I know exactly what I need to do at every single moment.
Right.
And then you encounter
Right.
one of those situations where you don't know what to do, and it's I shut up. I think about it. It's like, okay, let me go get wise counsel. What am I supposed to do in this situation? Well, this is what we did, and it didn't work. Okay, so I'm not using your advice. Yeah.
On to the next.
I said wise
Yeah.
counsel.
Yeah, telling you. But that I guess that's when having those spiritual mentors, really is even really good friends, maybe even people that haven't necessarily encountered that situation, and all that you need is that listening ear when somebody else is not willing to listen. For me, that always results in something positive, because it's just me being able to get everything out in the open, the things that I might be feeling that I haven't been able to say, and such. And then I might say that to the right person. Like, if I'm being straight up, I talk to my mom about dang near everything, right?
Same.
So I can, just say exactly what it is that I'm feeling in that situation. It's like, ooh, yeah, don't say that. Yeah, you might not want to say that, trust me. It's like, yeah,
I don't know how to tell you, Brian. You never get that puzzle piece back.
Exactly. So, but I'll say that to her, and her and I, we have like that trust base, right? So anything that I say in this space, like, don't take it for face value, and not necessarily for like, this is my alternative, motive type deal.
Yeah.
So I say, hey, those shoes are really dirty. It's not me telling you to throw the shoes away, but maybe, take a look. You might want to clean them type deal. And she'll just take it like that. And it's like, well, you could probably say that differently, but I understand what you're saying. Or, yeah, you don't need to say that. Don't say that at all. Don't repeat that ever again. Type deal.
Boy, I never taught you to speak like that.
Yeah, either that or she'll validate, like, yeah, you're completely right in that situation, but you need to go about being able to present it in a fashion that she's going to be able to receive it, or whoever is going to be able to receive it. And that kind of helps me be able to put stuff into perspective. It's like, okay, what's going to be the best way for me to go about approaching the situation? And that kind of goes into the topic of foolishness, where if you come at a situation and you're hot-headed, you're going to say all the things that you might not necessarily mean, and people are going to be impacted by that differently. But when you take the time out to, look at the situation from, somebody else's perspective, how might they receive my words if I say it like this? They might not receive that in the best fashion. Let me go back to the drawing board. It comes across as more wise,
Yeah.
There's so many situations in, just dealing with my daughter, we'll have those conversations, and, if I come to her, like, right off the bat, and I just say what it is that's on my mind, I can see it in her face. She's hurt. Like, hey, I need to apologize to you. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or whatever, but I was a little bit frustrated. This is what I actually meant. And then, she'll receive it differently. And then I'll turn it into more so a conversation as opposed to it being, like, just directed at you. And I have this thing where I don't like people being called stupid, right? And I think my wife had did that one time when she was like 6 years old, and I had to go to her and say, hey, don't ever call her stupid again. The situation might have been stupid, her actions might have been stupid, but she's not stupid. She's learning. So give her the grace that you were given. But what you do need to talk to her about is why it was that she took those steps as opposed to the other steps that she could have taken. And she's always been able to receive that a little bit better. So just being able to have that genuine conversation as opposed to, you're stupid. Your actions aren't necessarily a reflection of you, maybe just the way that you're feeling in that moment, right? So trying to approach the situation in a fashion that somebody is actually going to be able to receive what it is that you're saying, like really saying, as opposed to, if you have those underlying layers, okay, this stuff happened 3 years ago, I need to go about expressing this now. It has nothing to do with the situation, but I'm going to put it out there, and then you can take this however you want, and then we'll deal with that later on. It's going to pay dividends, of course. So for me, I ended up having to go about conversing with people like you all, on a more regular basis to be able to figure out, okay, I need to be saying stuff like this. Otherwise, the stuff that'll come out of my mouth will just be like the worst. It'll just cut like a dagger. And they say, words. What is it that they say about the tongue? What is it? There's a saying that words or your mouth
and pierce, like something with pierce, like
yeah. You all know the saying. Yeah, I can't really think of it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
David's like tongue.
oh, I'm sorry. So life and death are
yes.
in the tongue essentially. So you can go about speaking life into a situation, or you can speak death into it. And I find myself trying to go about speaking more life into a situation, unless that little situation needs to die like right then. Like we're not doing this.
I speak death.
Yeah,
That's interesting though. Like, so, would you say you have a similar relationship with your mom? Because I agree. Me and my mom are the same way.
Yeah.
Like, we talk like that.
Yeah.
Like, I say it to her, in its most probably the way I'm thinking is the way it's gonna come out.
Exactly.
And because I know she'll receive it well.
Yeah.
Not really. So my mom's older. She had me when she was older. So there's like some things she doesn't understand
Yeah.
about my generation.
Yeah.
Or things just in the world.
Yeah.
Right. She's very religious, so she tends to stay inside that sort of bubble.
Yeah.
Which God bless her, but
Yeah.
it's very different. Very different than what she's aware of. Like they have no idea what's going on in the world, or she's a grandma now, so that's what she knows.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, I kind of do it with my older brothers. It's a little bit larger of an age gap.
Yeah.
But they've gone through most things, or
Yeah.
it's really nice having siblings.
Exactly.
And if
Yeah.
not, I'll ask friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I make it an effort to be really selective on who I keep in my circle. And for that reason, I'd be comfortable asking anyone for advice. Because if they're in my circle, I know they have good intentions for me, if that makes sense. Like they want the best for me.
Exactly.
The same way, I want the best for them. Um, but
Which is why they're in your circle, right? I mean,
Exactly.
otherwise, you just
yeah,
what's that thing you said? You can't like the Chris Brown song. Like you can't even get in the club.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm telling you.
because a lot of foolishness can come from who you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
Dude, yep.
Exactly. You know, and I'm having that conversation with my daughter, man. You know, because I think when I was younger, I had, you know, very similar situation, but it was kind of hard to be able to recognize, like, the snakes in the grass, if you will. So you're just moving around, you're thinking that all these people have um, the good in mind for you, when, you know, it might not necessarily be like that.
Right.
So trying to, you know, coach up and say, hey, you know, you need to be able to recognize these kind of things, especially with these dudes. You know, the mind of a male has not changed for centuries. It is the exact same way that it was, you know.
The definition of it may
Exactly.
have changed, but
Exactly.
the mind of one.
Exactly.
If anything, it's worse.
Exactly.
Oh,
man,
yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me started on that. But yeah,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
you know, having that conversation, it's tough. But of course, you know, with us living where we do, she likes to think that, you know, everybody is just happy-go-lucky. So I guess, you know, she snuck out and went to a party. My wife knew about it, and said at the party they were like smoking and drinking. I was like, oh, okay. And of course, I took that opportunity. Did you smoke and drink? And I don't know if she was lying to me or not. I said, no. He's like, you did.
Not
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah,
Definitely
I'm
not.
rebellious, not a savage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know. But I took that opportunity to ask, like, did you do those things? And she was like, well, no. I didn't like the way that people started acting when, you know, they started getting, you know, overly drunk, or, you know, when they were smoking and such. We had people that started exposing themselves and all these things. It's like, ooh, yeah, that's tough. But the same thing happened when I was in high school, you know. So, you know, trying to be able to relate and look, dude, everything that you're about to start experiencing, I've already been there, probably 2 times worse, you know. But she likes to have this air that, you know, just because we live in this area, that kind of stuff isn't happening. Why do you think the kids around here are just, you know, the worst? Dude, I was your age. Yeah, we had people that were sneaking into people's garages, you know, stealing the beer cases, then coming to the parties with that beer, you know. Yeah. So it's just natural, but, you know, you think that you know everything as a teenager. So it's tough, man.
Because you don't really see the depth of like how much your environment affects you until you're older.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's interesting, right? Like so, you take someone who grew up in the hood, and then you take someone who grew up, you know, in a really nice suburb. Both realities, like which one is saying like, hey, one saying murders happen all the time. One says, oh no, I live in a great community.
Yeah, that never
They're
happens.
both,
Yeah.
that never happens. They're both telling the truth.
Yep.
Because that's, I hate when people, that's my truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but their perspective is reality. So because that's their perception, that's also their reality. They don't know what the other side is.
Exactly.
But until you've been on both sides, like we've all had,
Exactly.
we've seen both sides. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
like the world is a lot more complex than most people think it is.
Exactly.
But because you're growing up and this is, you know, thinking about it, Lana is, you know, she's about to be 3, so she's just used to our home, and then like my parents and my in-laws. So like her perspective is growing more and more,
Yeah.
and the more we expose her to things, we take her to the mall. Her like she's like this world is becoming a bigger and bigger place,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden she's gonna see and experience something totally outside of what I can control.
Exactly.
And now I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to explain that. That's
Dude.
gonna be a hard one. That's a hard conversation.
Dude, I don't know about you guys, but, you know, I grew up all over the place, right? So when I moved over to Washington State, lived in Tacoma, my mom, and I was like 6 or 7 at the time. My mom used to tell me, hey, you know, if anybody comes over and they offer you a ride home, do not take it. And the worst fear that was ever built up into me was, you know, because if you jump into that car, they're probably going to try to put something in your butt. Like, It's like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
What?
why
What
would
are they gonna?
why would anybody want to put something in my butt? You know,
Bro,
and
that was okay. That came out of left field, bro. That was not. I thought you were
Like candy, something.
gonna say, "Oh, they're gonna take you," because that's what my parents said to me. They're gonna take you, like, put something up your butt. No.
You'll never enjoy puzzles again.
Oh, you'll never find that last piece.
yeah, man. But I'm not
Like,
gonna
for
lie
real.
to you.
That's what she would say. She was like,
Yeah, man. Yeah, because of that, and then in all honesty, that became like my worst fear. Like, so if you ever watched like the series, The Boondocks, the cartoon series, and they had like the
God.
episode where one of the characters went to jail. Like, dude, I have those kind of dreams like all the time. I was like,
How old were you?
Dude, I was like 6 at the time. So, this has stuck with me ever since. And, I think
Right.
these are the things that
Oh,
keep me from
God.
getting into trouble because, no, I can't go to jail. Somebody's trying to stick something in my butt, type deal,
6-year-old Brian's like, man, they're gonna take my temperature. That's the only
Exactly.
logical thing they would put there.
"Oh my
Exactly.
god, that's
know?
hilarious."
But as a result of having that
my
conversation
God,
at 6 years old, dude, I still think like that to this day. It's like, oh, absolutely not. I cannot do that because I am not going to jail. I have those thoughts, but it was because of the area that we grew up in.
man.
Carrying that up until now, and then talking to my daughter about that kind of stuff. It's like, that kind of stuff doesn't happen around here. So
I got the
completely
Don't
scar.
drink too much at a party.
different. Yeah, exactly.
I got the
Telling you.
scars to prove it.
I'm telling you, man.
You just can't see them. They're inside.
Exactly. No, man.
These scars will never heal.
Man.
That's so fun, dude. I don't know how your mom kept a straight face after she said that.
Dude,
They're gonna put something up your butt.
Oh no!
No.
Yeah, exactly. Why would anybody want to do something like that? Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
That caught me off guard, man. That was hilarious.
Uh,
That's so funny, man.
Man.
David's like, see, this is why I don't want to have kids. I gotta go make up all these. I'm gonna make up all these crazy stories.
All I'm thinking is, what medicine did you take? That cold
man.
medicine.
Oh,
Hey, man.
that's so funny.
telling you.
That's funny, man.
Oh man. There.
I'm like, what are we talking about? That was.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
man.
I'm reflecting on what you said, right? The suburbs versus
Oh, okay.
the
Which
The
part?
hood.
Inner city.
Yeah.
Hey.
which one is more likely to be foolish?
I think the suburbs, to be honest with you.
I
Yes.
think the suburbs, yeah.
Me too.
Because you're sheltered.
There's more masks, I
Yeah.
feel.
Exactly.
In
can only-
Chicago, foolishness gets you killed.
Exactly. Exactly. So you end up learning. You can learn about the street life, and the posh life, if you will, just living in the big city.
Or just learning like one thing I've seen this happen in the city.
Mhm.
Someone will lay on the horn
Mm-hmm.
and the person they're honking at gets out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a foolish thing to do.
Yeah.
Like
To get out or lay on the horn?
lay on the horn like you never know,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who or I've seen 2 people get out,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you're both foolish.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the other guy's going to do.
Exactly.
Like, stay out of that situation.
Exactly.
But in general, in that's like real world foolishness, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's also the concept of just like life foolishness,
Exactly.
the choices you make, people
Exactly.
you hang out with.
See, I don't know, man, because I grew up in, the projects and whatnot. And just the perspective that you end up taking away from that kind of situation. Like, at times, I feel as though, you can be foolish growing up in the projects. Because you're not exposed to, the posh side of life. All you know is what I see, and, what I see is my barrier. People will tell you, you're never going to be able to make it out of here. and you'll start to believe it because now everybody that you're around, they've been here for years. This third generation growing up in the projects, you know what I mean? So there's no way that you can go about escaping. And when you have that kind of mentality, of course you're going to end up stuck. But all it takes is that one person be able to show you what it is that you can experience. The world is so much bigger than this little oyster that I'm in right now.
Yeah. Have you heard of the crabs in a bucket?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. Have you heard it?
No.
Crab. So like, if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, you don't have to worry about putting a lid, because any time one of them might come close to getting out, the others will pull it down.
Yeah.
So it's a crabs in a bucket mentality where the hood is a great example of it, because your environment and people around you will tell you it's not possible, and it's them just pulling you down. So I love that question. I think that it's harder to be foolish. Not what was your? How did you phrase your question?
Which one is more likely to be foolish?
Oh, I think it's simpler to be foolish in the hood, because it's kind of, you're broke, you want to get out, right?
Exactly.
When you're, I guess, posh, there's so many more masks and layers that come with it that you can easily like get lost in the sauce type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think there's foolishness in both. If
Yes,
you
for
live
sure.
more posh, you're more likely to be comfortable, right? And then you're just like, a little more
Exactly.
carefree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, maybe everyone's your friend,
Yeah.
right? But you look at all these people that have everything in the world, and then they go through some of the worst mental health issues and all that,
Yeah.
even though they have all that, because there's other things missing.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so important that we pray for wisdom from our Heavenly Father,
Absolutely.
because that kind of wisdom,
Can't get anywhere else, man.
You
Yeah.
can't. You
Absolutely. It's tough.
I love that. And then men that need a mentor and they need that brotherhood. That it's all great, and you need that brotherhood. You can definitely learn from people, but we can't step away from the priority of like, you need to go into the Bible and really search wisdom in there. Seek God first. I think that for me has been the biggest difference in how I approach wisdom. Is it worldly wisdom or is it actually godly wisdom? Worldly wisdom will tell you, make money, have power, you'll be happy.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Exactly.
It's not the right way to do it.
Man.
This is a really good follow-up on this foolishness conversation. So, Brian, you want to pray us out?
Yeah, man, absolutely. All right. Excuse me. Lord Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together today. We hope that the words and the mindset that we had are able to reach out to those people that you really need to have expressed these thoughts to. Lord, we ask for the healing of the world, for the gathering of the minds to be able to carry us into the next phase of whatever it is that you have planned. We ask that your will be done in all things, and that in all things you are glorified. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Redwood out.
Yay!
Sorry, Alfredo.
Where's Alfredo?